Challenge accepted. Now you're probably thinking, what challenge are you talking about, April? Well, the three Amigas, which would be myself and Di from Sister Chicks and Tracy from the Sewing Channel, we had a little quilt challenge going on. We actually met up at QuiltCon. And before we met up at QuiltCon, we decided, well, Di really was the one who challenged myself and Tracy to make a quilt using this block. Now, I've been trying to find a name for it other than block 3 because, well, block 3, although get it, block 3 for the 3 Quilt Amigas. To me, it looks like a fish. But I digress. So Di challenged myself, Tracy, and herself to make a quilt with this block. And the reveal of our finished quilt was going to be filmed at QuiltCon. Lots of fun, right? Yeah. Well, let's just say, I'm not even going to tell you. You'll have to keep watching in order to find out what happened.
So we finally made it to QuiltCon. Can you believe it?
QuiltCon!
Yeah, QuiltCon. And you know, we got some stuff in our laps here, but they're not QuiltCon stuff. It's not QuiltCon stuff. It's stuff that, you know, before this whole trip even happened, this one right here called me up. She had this idea.
No, so now I'm
Okay, Di, tell your idea to the people.
I thought we should do a challenge since the three of us were together.
The 3 Quilt Amigas.
Yes,
Yeah,
this is the first time ever.
And so I pulled out this book that 2 of the Quilt Amigas have. April.
I don't have it.
But you know what? Tracy looked at it and said, "I got this, babe."
Yeah, I got this. No problem.
I don't know. She does it.
She's good, you know.
We decided to challenge ourselves with this block. And guess what it's called? Block number 3. So we figured it was perfect
I thought it was called Birds Fly Together.
Well, that was another
Or wait a
book I
minute.
found
But
in
we
that
like
book.
block 3. It's a Quilt Amiga
Because
block.
we're the 3 Quilt Amigas. So this is block 3.
Now, I am not even gonna lie. There are instructions. They're a little cryptic, but they're instructions in this book that show you how to make block 3. I hope I can find it again. And Di and Tracy and I were talking one day on the phone, and this was after the challenge had been issued. And Tracy mentioned that the block was very difficult to put together. And Di also mentioned the same thing. I had not started putting the block together. I know you're shocked. So I thought, nah, I don't even want to struggle. So I decided to learn from the wisdom of my 2 friends, and I did a little Googling and found an easier way to make this block. To me, this block looks like a fish. Do it like that, and there you have the fish. So I decided that I wanted to make a quilt with a fish theme. Now, my fish consists of 1 square and 3 half-square triangles. And guess what? I just happened to have the dies for a square and triangles that worked perfectly to build this block. Challenge accepted. So I'm going to show you how I cut out my fabric using my AccuQuilt Go, and I'm going to show you how I took this block from being on point to being a regular block that is placed in the quilt just like a normal block. So let's get started. Here I have my square, and this square is a 6.5 inch square. I believe it finishes at 6 inches. What I did is I cut my fabric by, using with the fabric, just like I normally cut out fabric. And I cut a strip that was about 7 inches so that I knew that it would cover this area. Now, I learned something very interesting at QuiltCon because I stopped by the AccuQuilt booth. When I was making my blocks, I had trouble with my half square triangles. I mean, you use an AccuQuilt Go and you figure what's going to go wrong, everything should be perfect, right? But it wasn't. I would have fabric that wasn't cut perfectly straight, like it would be askew in a corner. So I stopped by the booth and I specifically asked, what am I doing wrong? Why is my fabric not cutting perfectly? They explained that I can't just take this fabric and cover my square like that, because this is not following the line of my cut. So what I have to do is make sure that my fabric is going along, my edge is going along this straight line edge of my die. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I only need 1 square. So I am only going to cut out 1 square. And I hadn't had issues with my square. It was specifically, I need to clean my die, the half square triangles that I had issues with. So here I have my square. Set that aside. Now I need 3 half square triangles and a coordinating fabric because I want my fish to show up in the block. I did make a couple fishes that did not show up in the block. So I've since then been careful to make sure that my fish show up. So here I'm going to fold my fabric. Now, like I said, I need 3 half square triangle blocks. So I'm going to line this fabric up, and then my coordinating fabric, I can also cut, let's see, you know what? I'm thinking I'm gonna have to iron this. It's not very straight. So my fish body is going to be made up of this color. And then I thought that this color was pretty and would be a good fabric to go around my fish. And you may not understand exactly what I'm talking about right now, but you will as soon as we start putting the fish together. Okay, so I'm going to, like I said, make sure that my fabric is following the line so that I don't have any issues with my half square triangle. Now, I do want to make sure that this is wide enough, and it is, That's just the edge of the fabric that was where it got cut. Not very straight. All right, so here we have all of our half square triangles. Going to snip this and this and this and this. Okay. So let's put aside my AccuQuilt Go so you can see how the fish block lays out. I did use my little batting block, or whatever we want to call it. Okay, so here I'm going to make my fish on point. Now I need these two fabrics to go together to make a half square triangle. Like I said, I need 3 of them, so I will have one left over. I think this fish is going to be really pretty. So here I have a leftover half square triangle. Alrighty, I have sewn my half square triangles together. When you are sewing these together, be careful not to stretch them. Try to just lay them down and not pull too hard. Another great tool is a Steady Betty. I don't know what this fabric is on the top. All I know is that it is sticky, not sticky like tape, but see, when I try to push my iron on this fabric, it doesn't push. And what it does is it holds your fabric in place and it doesn't stretch it out. So again, it's almost like a foam, but whatever it is, it works great to make beautiful half square triangle blocks. So I'm going to press my 3 half square triangle blocks. And half square triangle blocks are an acquired taste. I love using the AccuQuilt Go because, as you can see, there are no dog ears to trim off. That makes it a lot less tedious to make half square triangles. Part of the half square triangle challenge is touching that fabric so many times. So when I use my AccuQuilt, the little dog ears are already chopped off the end, and I don't have to do it. We've got our half square triangles. So now I'm going to make my fish block. I need to make this little guy bigger. There we go. All right, this is going to go this way, and this goes like this, And I have a fish. Pretty cool. I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine and sew it. So as you can see, I don't even know how I managed to do that. I sewed these together wrong. These, wait a minute, maybe I didn't. I didn't. Yay. Okay, I thought I was gonna have to rip some seams, and I don't, so that's good. So I sew these two together, and then I'm going to press this block or this strip this way so that that seam's going that way, and then I want to press this block so the seam is going the opposite way, and then I can nest my seams just like that. Now let me make sure. Yes, okay. Now I'm gonna put a clip or something if I can find one. I guess I'm gonna use a magnet because that's all I can find right now. Okay. This is a seam ripper. Yes, I know it looks like the thing that you use to take hair off of your face, but it's not. And I want to show you. So this is a Kai seam ripper. I need to find a seam to rip. Here we go. Hold on. Okay. Here is an example of, I used strips to make a half square triangle that was going to be part of a fish, but these colors are so similar that you couldn't see the fish. So the way that you use this is you take off the cap and then you get started. And then, I'm still kind of new at this, what you do is you can move this in a circular motion, and it is breaking the thread, but not ripping your fabric. So I'm just moving it in a circular motion. And if you can hold both sides of it, it works even better. And there you go. You now have your two half square triangles apart. How cool is that, Kai? So here I have a couple of my fish blocks. I really like the way they turned out. I don't want to put them together on point. So I decided that I was going to kind of do a square and a square and add half square triangles on the outside of the block. And then that way it will be just a regular block. So what I will add around the outside of the block is the fabric that is not part of the fish. I don't have to do it that way. That's just the way I decided to do it. So this fabric isn't directional, and I can easily add the half square triangles all the way around. I went to a website, and I will put a link in the description below, that told me how to determine what size half square triangle I needed, or actually what size block I needed to start with in order to get half square triangles that would work making a square in a square with my size block. This guy has the directional, so I'm going to show you how I figured out I can cut the block and the half square triangles so that the fish are facing the right way. In order to get a square and a square with the size block that I have, I need to cut out a 9 3/8 inch square. So I used my mat because it actually has the numbers 3/8 on the mat. So I didn't have to struggle with trying to figure that out. I am using my new Kai rotary cutter that I got at QuiltCon. I'm also using my cutting mat from Caterpillar that folds into multiple sizes. All right, I'm going to line this up, and then I'm going to find 9 3/8 on my mat. So there's 9 3/8, and then I take a line on my ruler going this way and line it up with a line on my mat, and then line up the edge of my ruler with the 3/8. This is a really cool cutter. So right now my blade is always guarded. There is not a point where it's not, unless I am pressing down and cutting, and then it automatically goes right back into place and the guard is around the blade. And there's my cut. This is where the magic happens. So here I have my fabric just like it was on my little comic book board. It's with the fabric. I have it folded in half just like it would come off the bolt. I am going to turn this around. I do have my selvage, so I want to get rid of my selvage, but I'm going to leave it folded in half like this. I'm actually going to turn this on an angle so that I don't always get the same cutting line on my mat. Okay, are these fishes not adorable and colorful and so cute? All right, so I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Going to find the 9 3/8, and I'm going to line up the line across on my mat and then along the 9 3/8 mark there. I'm going to set that aside. So here I have my fabric. These fish are the opposite way. I am not going to move them. I am putting the corner of my block on this dashed line and the opposite corner of my block on this dashed line. And then I am going to lay down my ruler along the dashed line and cut. And of course, I have this little, there we go. Now let's get the fish block, put it here. I am not concerned about the way these fish are facing. I didn't even try to get those straight. However, when I put this around the outside, I thought, you know, it would be nice if the fish were swimming in the right direction. So here, I have my fish swimming in the right direction. Here, fish swimming in the right direction, nobody's upside down. Here, fish swimming in the right direction, and these fish are swimming in the right direction. It's magic. Now, what I do to put the block together is I will fold my half square triangle in half and just do a little finger press, nothing crazy. And then I will line up my finger press with the seam in the middle of the block. So you will have corners that hang off of the edges. And I will do opposite sides first. So if I sew this side first, then I'm going to sew this side next. Again, match the finger fold to the middle of the block. And then once I have these two sewn on, I'll do the same thing with these. And magically, all the fishes are swimming in the right direction. Now, because these are directional, that means that I cannot use this block. Well, I can, but after going to all the trouble of making my fish face the right way, I would want to use this block this way. My other fish block, I will cut my fabric, which is this fabric, the same way, but it's not necessary that I make sure that I don't move my squares or, flip them both the same way, because this fabric isn't directional. I'm struggling with how to put these blocks together. I like all of the blocks, but it's a whole lot of color, which I don't have a problem with. So anyway, so let me back out a little. So at the very top, I have a border stripe, and I had fabric that was this wide, and the borders, there were 4 of these borders. Now at the top you can see that there's this blue, and then this looks like, I don't know, this pretty swirl under it. So I want that at the top. And then I'm going to have, I think, a row of 3 fish. And then I have this fabric that looks like water. And I'm going to put that in between the rows of fish blocks just to kind of break it up a little bit. And then at the bottom, I went ahead and cut off this swirl and blue border from this, and then that will come next, and then this will be at the bottom. So now let's see. I don't want all my fish swimming the same way. I can't decide if I want this bright red in here. I may be making a pillow out of the clownfish blocks. Honestly, I like this fish block, but I think this one might blend better. So. I'm going to sew all these together and we'll see what it looks like. Before I do the big quilt reveal, I wanted to share with you how the quilt reveal went at QuiltCon when Di and I didn't have ours done.
We had to do this. We had to make the quilts, and we brought them here, and April was going to show hers, myself and Di, right
Like we've
now.
not seen them. We have no idea what they
Stick
look
with
like.
us,
Yeah.
and each of us will show you how we interpreted the block and how we made it. And boy, is it going to be interesting, because we have 3 different minds that
Three
do
different
not-
versions of the...
that do not think alike. Well, we're assuming there's 3 different versions. Cool.
So, first of all, friends out there in YouTube land, I'm looking, and I see her bag's kind of flat, and she's only got a stack of something over here. So, I don't know. So,
Hold
April...
it. Watch this. We're gonna change that. Magic.
So April, why don't you take the show and show us your quilts
Okay.
from the quilt challenge?
I did a mini quilt.
It's a fish.
It is. I didn't
Hold
finish
it.
my quilt.
Hold it. Look at all those pieces.
You didn't finish your quilt?
I didn't finish my quilt.
Okay, well, let me see it again. Your mini quilt.
My mini quilt. I have 2 mini quilts. I have this one.
Can I hold it for y'all? What do you
And-
think, Trace? Isn't that a cute
I think it's
block?
not done.
I think you're right. You like that one?
And I think
my
our minds
gosh.
think alike.
Did you do it that way?
Are you kidding me? Are you
But
flipping
mine
kidding me?
is in done form.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
So,
Pollyanna
okay,
perfect.
so
This pattern looks so easy, and it is a mind twister. And it twisted my mind. I had a meltdown. I was sewing for QuiltCon, and well,
but you have a quilt though.
well, let me show you what I have. Okay, no judging, no judging.
What?
No judging. Okay.
What?
I have this beautiful cave.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You pups challenged me to make this god-awful quilt block, and you all come with these?
And they're beautiful. And
No,
look at
they're
April
not.
Ryan.
No, they're not. No, they're not
Can I just
beautiful.
say, well, they haven't even seen mine.
No, they're not. I don't even want to see it.
Too bad. So sad. Look, great minds think alike, same colors.
Oh, yeah.
So I have this beautiful.
Great minds think alike. We don't finish projects.
That's right.
We were afraid to tell you.
Okay.
Right. Am I scary?
Very
Well,
much so.
yeah, now.
So look how small
In
mine
person.
is. Look how small mine is compared
Oh,
to
wow.
yours.
Yeah.
This is not trimmed
And yours is
up
pressed.
because I went to trim it up and it was totally cutting all the points off, and I was having a meltdown.
Well, boy, am I disappointed.
Oh, I think it's beautiful. That's cake.
Okay, so I want to see the finished quilt because I bet yours is beautiful.
You all know, anybody that follows
You
me
don't
on my
think that is
anybody that follows me on my channel knows your girl finished her quilt.
That's right.
With
she
sass
won.
and
She
full,
won.
you know.
She is the winner.
I won regardless
Winner.
because I finished the quilt.
That's right.
All right, y'all. This is the Birds in the Air, the quilt number 3, Quilt
block
Amigas. You know, I finished it. They didn't. You know, I got to say all the things, okay?
They didn't
right,
tell me.
Are
Don't
you
forget, they
ready?
didn't
Are
tell
you
me.
ready? Quilt
Yes.
Amigas.
Yay! Oh, I love it.
Oh my gosh. Look at
Right? Right?
Yeah, you would have won anyway.
Oh yeah, you would have won totally anyway.
Wow, that
Oh
is
my
so
gosh.
cool.
Check it out.
Who do y'all think won this challenge? Whatever, man. Whatever.
You are the winner.
I think that you all owe me something. I'm not sure what it is yet, but I'll think of it.
yeah, we do. Yeah,
I'll
we do.
think of it.
All right.
That's
But yeah,
so pretty.
that's it.
I think you
Yay.
should give it to me.
Do you want it? It's yours.
Oh my gosh! Thank you.
You're welcome.
My quilt top is complete. I am loving the top and the bottom. So the top is, it's kind of high, is this fabric right here. So pretty. I love it. And then the bottom is the same. So let me just, I'll go down. There's the bottom. And then I'll pan up. And there's the top. And if you notice, the kissing fish are all on the left-hand side. I had to do that because this was upside down and this was upside down, so I had to flip them. So, but that's okay. I like it. Let's see if I can get this guy quilted, and I could always bind it in the bubbles. You know what? I think that is what I will do. I will use this for the binding.
Talk? I don't know.
Blah, 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 blah. Oh, Tracy!
Oh my goodness, you girls.
Tracy!
I have so many bloopers for this video.
It's gonna be awesome.